Hey, what's up guys, Venkat here. Welcome to my channel. So you have been in this situation, even I have been in this situation till morning, and we don't know why. I know now, but you don't know why the MediaTek chipsets are they don't tech reviewers or anyone don't recommend the MediaTek chipsets, but instead recommend the Snapdragon chipsets, even though it is a bit pricey. So here is why. I'm Venkat, and this is a video on why you should not buy a phone with MediaTek processors. So let's get started. So in this video, I'm gonna be explaining all the pros and cons of the MediaTek chipsets and why you should not buy a phone with MediaTek chipset, and instead you go with the Snapdragon chipset. I'm gonna be explaining in the deep level. So let's start the video. So first, what are the pros? The Helio, all the processors like Helio X20, P20, P10, all the things will equipped with a 10 core processor. So you may and the mid-range processors like Snapdragon 625, 650 has an hexa-core processor. Snapdragon 650 has an hexa-core processor. So you may think like deca-core processor is more cores, 4 cores. So deca-core is 10 and hexa-core is 6. So 10 is greater than 6, right? So you may think like 10 cores might be outperformed. 6 core might be outperformed by the 10 core deca-core processor, but it is partially true, but there are lot of things to consider. So for the deca-core processor, for the Helio X20, I'm talking about the Helio X20 or P20. So it comes with a two ARM Cortex A72, that is a more power consuming and more powerful cores, and 8 ARM Cortex A53 cores. So they are power efficient and less power consuming. So when you play a game, the A72 chipsets kick in, and when you do like light stuff like social media or any other light stuff, you get to use the ARM Cortex A53 processors cores. So the hexa-core processor, the Snapdragon 650 that I'm going to be talking about, has an hexa-core that means 6 cores, and it has two A72 ARM Cortex A72 cores and 4 A53 cores. So you may think like the performance of P20 or an X20 will be greater than the 650. So it is partially true, and it is true. And on Antutu benchmarks and stuff and other benchmarks, you get more performance on the MediaTek chipsets, the deca-core processors, more than the Snapdragon 650, because it has more cores, and these all reviewers, all the people recommend the Snapdragon processors is because of the power efficient and the heat dissipation. So what is heat dissipation? The MediaTek processors dissipate more heat. That is because I'm gonna explain the reason in the later part of the video. And the deca-core processor dissipate more heat, and the Snapdragon comparatively to the Snapdragon processor dissipate less heat. So you can so it gonna be throttling, and it gonna be very hot in your hands if you play a game or use it for 1 hour or something like that. And the Snapdragon processors dissipate less heat, and the another con of the MediaTek processors are its power efficiency. And the Snapdragon processors, every processor of Snapdragon are more power efficient than the MediaTek processor. That is because of the chip level, the manufacturing process that they use. So the manufacturing process, Snapdragon uses like it has CPU in one chip. It has CPU, GPU, image sensor, and audio sensor, and a bunch of other sensors packed into one chip. And these chips work independently. These chipset, all the audio sensing and the image sensing, all the chipsets working independently with CPU and GPUs. But in the case of MediaTek processor, the image sensors and the image sensing thing and the audio chip not be present, and the all the if you take a photo or record a video, the CPU and GPU will handle the job. So that means that they take power more, they take more power, and hence less battery efficient. So, and by taking the more power, as you know, CPU and GPU are power consumption and power consuming things, more power consuming things, and they dissipate more heat than the processor, other processor, the image sensing processor and all that. So that is the reason why the MediaTek doesn't have any image sensing processor or an audio processor. So you may get less power, less battery efficient processor by the MediaTek, and you will get more heat dissipation from the MediaTek chipsets. And for the Snapdragon chipsets, it is very power efficient, and it doesn't produce more heat. So that's why this is. The MediaTek chipsets are not recommended by all the tech YouTubers, but for the performance, the MediaTek performs greater than the Snapdragon chipset, but it definitely performs better than the Snapdragon in Antutu or Geekbench benchmarks. But in day-to-day life, even though you are playing a game, you will not notice much difference among these two processors. So other pro of the MediaTek processor is the price. The price of the MediaTek processor chipsets is much less than the Snapdragon chipset. So you may notice that all the Chinese phones and all the Xiaomi phones in China, especially in China, will get all the MediaTek processor, and outside the China will all get the Snapdragon processor. So the reason behind is the MediaTek chipset is very cheap comparatively with the Snapdragon processors, and that is the reason why many of the startup companies or even the Chinese starting Chinese companies or cheap phones will get the MediaTek processor instead of a Snapdragon processor. So if you want to so my recommendation is you should go with the Snapdragon processor, because it is very power efficient and you get more battery life out of the same battery comparatively with the MediaTek processor. But for the performance, but for the performance and day-to-day life, both are same, and you get much more better image quality, and much more better audio quality from the headphone jack from the Snapdragon processor, from more than the MediaTek processor. So I would recommend the Snapdragon processor more than the MediaTek processor. If you want a phone that has very incredible features, but just comes with the MediaTek chipsets, I would recommend in that case. But if you have both phones, phone A with MediaTek chipset and phone B with Snapdragon chipset, if they are priced at the same 2,000-3,000 difference, 2,000-3,000 rupees in difference, and you get much more things, much more better screen, better performance, better battery life, better camera and all that, I would recommend with the MediaTek chipset instead of the Snapdragon in that case. But if both phones are identical and priced at same range, if they are same, the screen quality and everything is same, I would recommend the Snapdragon processor instead of this MediaTek processor. So that's the thing. MediaTek chipsets are more not power efficient, and they dissipate more heat and perform more. The Snapdragon processor less heat dissipation, less performance, less cores, and less throttling, and better image and audio sensors. So I would recommend the Snapdragon. I'm saying it again and again because I really truly recommend the Snapdragon processor instead of the MediaTek processor, because of all the reasons. And this I wish this video would help you. And between the K8 Note, the new release is K8 Note, and the Redmi Note 4, I would recommend the Redmi Note 4 because of the Snapdragon chipset, and it is much more stable, and you get more updates with the Xiaomi phone. And I wish this video would help you, and if it helps you, give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more informational videos like this. And thank you so much for watching. Peace.